Hey, hey, everybody.
Remember us?
Remember us? Hey, for once, we're not in a brewery.
Yeah, just a boring
Remember
old garage.
this?
Yeah, back
Oh,
to our normal boring garage.
well, I would say with a collection like that, you could hardly call this a boring garage, but
That's true. It's not boring. What
not
was I
boring in the
thinking?
least.
Got some of the boxes in the display corner over there.
We do.
Can't see them all, but
So,
anyway, hi.
hi, hey. We are back, and this is part of
How
the
you
cellar
doing?
series that I had told you all about. These are the beers
You
that
did.
I had in the closet, and after reading, realized that I wasn't going to be able to keep them too much longer, especially considering I live here in the desert. And if the power went out in my apartment once, these bottles would be ruined without a doubt. They would not be in a cool closet; they'd be in a hot, dark closet. So,
Yeah.
it was time to get those bottles out, get them drank,
Get your
and
beers out of the closet.
exactly, exactly, get your beers out of the closet.
It's coming out day.
It's exactly. It's time for the beers in the closet to feel that it's their day,
Right.
their day to be heard.
Is there going to be a beers in another room parade sometimes?
Yeah, it could be. I just it's this is
Beers in the garage parade. I don't know. Whatever.
uh,
Anyway, we're going to review a beer.
yeah. And today's selection is Tenaya Creek's Imperial Stout.
Shall
Those of you shall please.
I? Okay.
Those of you who watch this channel regularly know that we are huge fans of Tenaya Creek.
Oh,
We are
yes.
in fact the Creek Geeks
We are the
LV.
Creek
Be sure
Geeks.
to check out the Creek Geeks LV on Facebook and Twitter. Twitter
Yep.
handle the Creek Geeks LV.
Yes, sir.
And the Creek Geeks LV is there for any fan of Tenaya Creek. You don't even have to have had Tenaya Creek's beer. If you just think Tenaya Creek sounds like a swell place
Yeah,
that you want to visit when you're in Vegas, come join the Creek Geeks. We're more than happy to have you there.
absolutely. And we're full of knowledge about breweries around town, so we can help you in multiple facets.
So this is not only a Vegas Beers series, it's not only the Cellar Beer series, but it's Tiger Sock. So we've got,
Yeah, I'm shamefully wearing my old English tee with the worst record in baseball.
well, I,
It is what it is. They have the
it,
worst record in
these
baseball.
guys they're
Actually, if the playoffs started today, Boston would not be in, which is
exactly,
bizarre considering they're the defending champs. But
yeah,
they are
it's kind of precarious
like
right now. I don't
six
know any
games
other
out of the
word.
wild card, I
I,
want to say.
I don't know what other word to describe it. It's precarious. I feel like it could go either way at this point, truly. I feel like, yeah,
Well, today is August 11th, and if I'm not mistaken, they're not going to win the division. The Yankees
no,
are just way too far ahead of them, and there's only basically like 45 games left.
exactly.
So there's not the time to catch them in the division, win the
No,
division.
it's the
The
wild card
wild card is their only way
possibility,
in,
but
but even that, they're like 6 games out, and they have to leapfrog a few teams to do it. So Jim Robbins, if you're watching this, an Oakland A's fan, your team is one of the teams that he has to leapfrog.
yeah.
So, all right, we're gonna open this puppy up. Would you like to tell the nice
Yes,
folks?
the Tenaya Creek Imperial
Tell them we
Stout,
got the baseball channel.
9.3 ABV. I believe this is the 2017 edition, which there is no specific information about at Beer Advocate. However, regarding the Tenaya Creek Imperial Stout in its own general sense, five of my friends on Untapped have given it a cumulative score of 4.45.
That's a fantastic
That's an
score.
amazing score.
Wow.
2,086 of us have given it a cumulative score of 3.84. That's actually a fairly
Respectable for
large
that.
jump down, though. Um, Beer Advocate. Beer Advocate has done something very new. I don't know when exactly this happened. Beer Advocate used to do a 5-point scale, so you could have like a 3.68 or a 4.2 or whatever. Instead, now they've gone to a 100-point scale,
There's nowhere we did that.
and it must have happened very recently because I found this out last night when I went to go look these beers up, and so I discovered that Beer Advocate is now on a 100-point scale. It's 89, which on their scale is very good, which it is good, but not. I think that's, I don't know, that considering it's only 11 points away from a top score. It seems like that should be a little higher up their scale. Like that, I don't
Yeah,
know. That should be closer to
proportionate to
exceptional. Back in the day, if it had like a 4.2, if you're at a 4.2, that would be exceptional.
right.
And now with only 11 points, I don't know. But anyway, it's an 89, and they're calling that very good. Out of 85 rankings, that's the cumulative score on
Now,
Beer Advocate.
I seem to remember maybe that's their online ranking, but I seem to remember going to stores and seeing those little white tags that hang in front of a
Hmm.
beer, and it would have scores in the 90s. So what
in
was
the
that?
90s. Oh,
So I'm not sure
I
if
don't.
that was Beer Advocate. Hey, even get out, will you? Yeah.
Teenagers, get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn. We're grumpy old men. Yeah. So
Um,
no, maybe it wasn't Beer Advocate, but I do remember some scoring system for a while now that was
mm,
printed on little white cards about index card size
mm.
that had scores 94 5 6 7. So I'm not sure. Maybe their online thing was different.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway,
and I mean, prior, when I would go online previously to go look at the scores on Beer Advocate, it was always a 5 point scale. So it just last
50,
night they were
well, 5.
a 5 point scale. Yeah. So last night they moved to a 100 point scale. But
Hmm.
once again, this beer, 9.3 ABV, IBU is not available.
Hmm.
Couldn't find it even on Untapped. Sometimes they'll have IBUs, even if the brewer themselves doesn't have IBUs. And I
Yeah.
always wonder how it is that Untapped has information that the
Right.
brewer doesn't have. But
Right.
uh,
Exactly.
I could see though, I could see some of those home brewers getting out their their equipment and measuring and checking for IBUs.
Sure.
Although I've got to say the latest information regarding IBUs, this is turning into more of a beer talk uh, than I had planned on, but that's okay. I mean, we're here to talk beer anyway. IBUs,
And that's
boy,
okay.
it's becoming. I think the best word to describe it is subjective, and some of y'all are even saying that IBUs mean absolutely nothing. And I don't know, there may be something to that because there's been plenty of times I've picked up a beer with 85 IBUs and thought, wow, this is going to be bitter, beyond
Right.
belief, and had it, and it's less than 60 days old, and it just tastes like malt, and
Right.
there's no bitterness to it at all. Uh, some are saying that it's almost impossible on a commercial scale to actually measure IBUs. It's the kind of thing that you can only do in small batches for your home brewing
I don't
deals.
really hear anybody like reference them when we're actually at a brewery. I don't really hear anybody reference them if they're having most styles of beer. Like a stout, an imperial stout, for example. I don't hear anybody ever asking or talking about IBUs like shoulder to shoulder with a stranger. Like, I wonder
Mhm.
what the IBUs. No, they bring that up with like IPAs
Yeah.
and pale ales. They will, but not stouts. No, it's not really ever talked about. Really,
No, because
it's not important. Really.
you don't really hear about hop forward stouts, but
Right.
however, at the same time, the way you can distinguish an American porter from a British porter is the hop content,
Mhm.
and pretty much anything, whether even the pale ale, like you mentioned, British pale ale doesn't have anywhere close to as many hops as an
Right.
American pale
Right.
ale. So when in doubt, if you're wondering how the American version stacks up against a foreign version,
Yeah.
in all likelihood, we Yanks have thrown in twice as many hops as whoever it was, whether it's a German Gosa or a British Pale Ale
Right.
or anything else. So
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but if I sit down to open up a stout or a porter, a sour, a wee heavy, I don't. I'm not really concerned about what the IBUs are on the beer. I want to know what the malt is. Absolutely.
yeah, and I want to know
That's
what the
that's
ABV is
yeah,
down there.
because that's the predominant, basically component of beer, such as something that strong.
Mhm.
It's not, hops. I mean, obviously hops are involved, but I don't know. It just seems like a moot point when you're talking about how many, what kind of hops are in a stout.
So IBUs missing from a beer, not such a bad thing,
Right.
but ABV missing from a beer, unacceptable.
That
Part of
is
drinking responsibly is a
that's
brewer putting an ABV on the
totally
bottle or
unacceptable to
can.
not have an ABV. So obviously Tenaya Creek beer going into a Tenaya Creek glass, a tulip, tiptoe. Check that
And
out. Smell it. Hold it. Behold. Behold.
I'm going to borrow Tony's phrase, light cannot escape. I mean, that is one dark, dark, dark stout. As you can see, that's a very, very thin head. I haven't even brought it for a beard wipe, and already I can smell the alcohol. I mean,
I
I
think
am
well,
really smelling
I
alcohol.
probably should have poured it a little bit differently to create a head straight down. Here we go, like that.
But
It'll
I
give
think if you
rise to a little
had
bit
that,
of a.
I think this is, Imperials are not known for having big, heavy heads
That's
of
true.
anything.
That's
So,
true. My glass is generic. There's no print on it, but it's still pretty cool. It's cool. Don't be hating on my glass. Yeah.
okay. Now that it's had a little bit of chance to breathe and the alcohol fumes to go away, because like I said,
Yeah.
even holding it this far away, I could smell the
Yeah.
alcohol. But
Yeah. It comes at you.
But now that I can didn't do a beard wipe, didn't need to, but sticking my
I
schnoz
still like
directly
when you
in.
do that though. It's just graceful. Like, my name is Chris Rose. Such a delightful smell. I
I
mean,
smell kind of. It's honestly, I gotta say, this smells a little bit more barley winey
it
than stout.
does.
I'm
Yeah,
smelling that raisin, that fruit
I get the
smell,
raisin.
and
Yeah, a couple
the
years of
plums.
aging, it's been bottled for a minimum of 2.5 years, I would imagine by now. So
Yeah, and I don't know if I'm ever going to age again, to be perfectly honest with you. I think,
you're not. Your skin looks so.
but
Oils and creams that I use.
I just don't know that it's the kind of thing where I've from what I've read from some of the beer blogs, really if you don't have a proper cellar, an actual like humidor in which to keep your cigars and beers and wines, then you really shouldn't age in the first place. And even if you did have that, you shouldn't age it more than 3 years. Some of these beers I think are coming right up on 3 years. So
Yeah.
um,
Well, you're under the, for a stout, they have more of a strength, I guess you
yeah.
could say, to.
And I also got to say too that in all seriousness, Brian at Tenaya Creek told me once before. He's like, "Don't bother aging beers. You're not going to be happy with the way they turn out." And
Don't age
so,
an IPA. That much I've learned. That's not a good idea.
although I had a better response to 120 minute than you did, I think,
Yeah.
aged wise.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's just my palate. I don't think an aged IPA is a good beer. Just
all
doesn't
right,
taste right.
let's get to drinking
Yeah,
our
we're at the
cellar beer.
11
Yeah.
and a half minute mark here. Let's get some beer on the tongue here. Man, this packs a punch. It is just a taste bomb. It's like, man, it's
I'm
so
tasting
impactful.
cocoa more than
Absolutely.
anything. I'm tasting cocoa.
Absolutely. You took the
Um,
words right out of my mouth. I was just about to say that.
it's not even chocolate. It's like baker's cocoa.
Baker's cocoa, that powder and from Hershey's that you would mistakenly
Yeah, when you were a kid
take
and you'd think, "Oh
stick your
yeah,
finger in and do
hmm
this when you're a little kid, and you're like, "What? This
hell
isn't
is
chocolate.
this?"
This Hershey's has betrayed me."
Right? And your mother or grandmother would laugh at you
Yeah,
and go,
exactly.
"Yeah,
You'll
exactly."
never do that
Uh-huh.
again. Just so filling. I mean, this is an excellent imperial stout. You have a little bit of a smokiness to it. You got a little bit of a cappuccino to it. You got the
Right.
cocoa, like he
hmm
said. The alcohol burn is subtle.
It really is. Yeah,
It's
it's definitely mellowed. Although you kind of feel it more in your nose than you do in the back
right.
palate.
Yeah.
Towards the very end, you kind of go, okay, there's that warming feature. Uh,
Get a little bit of like you said, a hint of like a dark fruit, like maybe a prune or maybe a raisin.
but for me, now that I've tasted it, now that I've drank some of the beer, I'm not even smelling that anymore, and
Right.
I'm not really
It's
picking that up on
dissipated
the tongue. So
for sure.
if you're picking it up, you're doing a better job than I, because I like I said, I picked it up originally on the notes on the bouquet, but I'm not really getting that on the flavor. All I'm really getting now is that cocoa, and like you said, cappuccino, perfect word for it, because there is a creaminess
It's
to it.
creamy,
It's not
right?
just
Exactly.
coffee, but
It's
yeah.
it almost comes across as like a touch of vanilla. I don't want to say it's.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's more of a vanilla in
Yeah,
texture
actually,
than
yeah,
it is flavor. I
yeah. I
would
see
say
exactly what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
it's rich. I mean, that's what's nice about a beer like this is you're getting. It's almost like you're getting 2 sips per one sip. I mean, because you're getting such a rich layering coat on your tongue, and
Now I gotta ask
it's
this
delicious.
because that is the whole point.
Let me ask you
Are you
this.
noticing anything particularly noteworthy about the aging um, in terms of the flavor?
Uh,
I can't say that this is much
Flavored.
different
I
than if it
agree with
was
that
a
because
brand
we're
spanking
actually
new Imperial Stout.
I do agree with that because we are familiar with the the Imperial Stout from Tenaya Creek
Hmm
from the tap when it's fresh. It's not on tap right now. It's a more of a seasonal beer, and I'm sure it'll be back pretty soon. They're actually about to release Oktoberfest. I was just told
Ah,
yesterday,
yes.
so that's going to be cool. But yeah, I agree. I don't think the flavor has been tweaked too much. I do think the alcohol burn has.
A little
I
bit,
think
but the
that's
thing
tamed a
is,
little bit.
it's a very smooth Imperial Stout. Anyway, I
Very.
see that we've got less than a minute.
Oh
So the final
no!
judgment is that it really
Excellent.
was not worth the
Always.
time to cellar it. I would say in the future, when I grab a bottle of Imperial Stout, I'm going to enjoy it fairly soon after buying it.
Right.
I don't think anything was gained or really even for that much lost
Right.
by drinking it this way. And
I think I've scored this beer before. We're down to about 30 seconds.
yeah,
I think I've scored this beer before, but just to refresh, I would say I'd probably give it a 4.5.
I think I gave it
It is such a
4.25 in the past.
solid
So yeah.
stout. If you're in Vegas, hit Tenaya Creek up. You like stouts, you're in luck. You like pilsners, you're in luck. And we love you, and
We
thanks
love
for
you.
watching. And
Tiger Socks loves you, man. Creek Geeks LV. Check us
drink
out.
good beer. Don't forget.
Don't forget. Later on, guys. Drink good beer.
Don't break the bank.
Well, we don't know what.